This is All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. Hey, thanks to everyone who came out to our Get Lit with All of It event last night at the New York Public Library. We had a great event with Cynthia Dupree-Sweeney and musical guests Ida and Story Littleton. And we're excited to share that our next book club pick will be Tom Perrotta for his latest novel, Ghost Town. And on Friday, Tom will be here for a preview of the book discussion, so tune in and grab your e-copy soon by going to wnyc.org/getlit. Now, let's keep things going with some solo traveling. With summer fast approaching, a lot of you might be in the midst of making travel plans. Maybe that means coordinating a big family trip or sitting down with friends to talk dates and itineraries and Airbnbs. But imagine it's just you. You can go wherever you want. You can do what you want to do. Yes, you might be ripe for a solo trip. According to Amelia Edelman, a journalist covering travel and psychology, going out on your own can be exhilarating. Now, you might get lonely or overwhelmed. In fact, that's pretty likely. But Amelia, who recently took her first solo trip to Slovenia, says that leaning into that discomfort can actually be rewarding. She recently did a segment for NPR's Life Kit where she talked to several solo travelers to compile a sort of guidebook on how to take a trip by yourself. And she joins us now. Hey, Amelia.
Hi, Allison. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you. Listeners, we want to hear from you as well. Are you planning a solo trip? And if so, what are you excited about? What are you nervous about? What made you decide to take a leap and book it? Or maybe you're a practiced solo traveler and have some wisdom that you would like to share. Our number is 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. So, Amelia, you said you took that trip. You used to be kind of overwhelmed by taking the prospect of a solo trip alone. What made you decide to take the leap and said, yep, I am going to do it?
Well, I am a veteran traveler. I'm primarily a travel journalist, and I've been traveling all over the world for the better part of 20 years, I'd say. But I really always travel with friends or a family member, my partner, my kids especially. That was the big thing, that it was really hard for me to leave my kids behind for a week. I had never done it, and I was panicked at the thought. It was a lot of what's going to happen. But I thought it was time. They were about, I want to say they were 3 and 9 when I left. And, that's not baby. You can leave a baby as well. I mean, no judgment on that. But I just felt like I was ready and they were ready. And I was like, let's see what happens.
So were you worried about what would happen to them or what would happen to you?
Mostly them. Yeah.
Why?
Just I want to be there for every moment, and I think a lot of parents have this fear of like, oh, I can't do something for myself because then it makes me a bad mom. And it's like, that's not true. Like you can do so much for yourself. It just, for me, a week, and I try to like do little things for myself, but a week in Europe felt very big for me. And of course they were fine and I was fine. And very quickly, once I got there, I just felt, oh, this relief. I was just like, I can do, like you just said in your introduction, whatever I want.
I think only a parent can write that sentence.
Right.
What surprised you about traveling alone?
I don't consider myself a big extrovert, but I was surprised by just how many friends I made, other travelers, locals. I'm not a person who really goes and chats up people in my own city. I live in Nashville. I'm not like making friends at the coffee shop. I'm like kind of introverted. I have my people and I love my people, but I don't really chat up strangers. And I found myself, once I had so much time to myself, in the day to day, I was not socially, energetically drained by the children and the work and the partner thing, that I was just like, hey, oh, what are you reading? Oh, what do you I found myself totally comfortable just making friends. Who knew?
If people are nervous about going on their own to some place that's new, why would you recommend it?
I think it is such a wonderful way to just get in touch with yourself. So many of us are used to being daughters, sisters, brothers, partners, parents, workers, employees, good friends. And when you're just being faced with the opportunity of a day or a week of just like, I can plan my own time, it really helps you tap into yourself that may have been hiding for whatever reason. Like, what do I like to do? What do I want to do? And I do think in terms of travel, like a new place across the world is a great, I love a new city that I've never been to. I love just wandering and getting lost. But that doesn't have to be everybody's cup of tea. Like if you're newer to travel or you don't like the idea of navigating a city grid that you've never been to or trying to figure out signs in another language, you can go close by. Like you can take a solo trip to Atlanta. I know that's my example from Nashville of like what's close, but like somewhere near you, or even just going up to getting a cabin by yourself or exploring something in nature that's near you. It can be just as much of that like break from your day to day and checking in with yourself without having to be like, all right, let me get on Duolingo for Portuguese for 8 months before I go.
We're speaking with travel journalist Amelia Edelman about her tips for traveling solo. Listeners, we want to hear from you. Are you planning a solo trip? What are you excited about? What made you take a leap and decide to book it? What are you concerned about? Or maybe you're a practice solo traveler and have some wisdom that you would like to share. Give us a call at 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. And remember, please, no calling if you're driving. Please be safe. Enjoy the conversation. You can call us next time. But if you're not driving and you want to call, the number is 212-433-WNYC. Let's take a call. This is Sally calling from the Upper West Side. Sally, you are on the air.
Well, I've made many solo trips over a number of decades. The first solo trip I made was because I was traveling with my roommate at that time, and I got really sick. She had a job that she couldn't change her dates. So she went ahead, and I was well enough to meet her for the last week of the trip. So it turned out that my first solo time was not by choice, but it turned out to be one that I really loved. And the thing that I've discovered then, and I've always done it, this was back in the 60s. I'm still doing travels with friends. When I was married with my husband, I do some traveling on my own. I learned to have my main meal in the middle of the day. Now, the middle of the day for me might be noon or it might be 3 o'clock. But the point was I didn't have to worry about going out for dinner and returning to wherever I was staying when it was totally dark and I was in a country where I didn't speak the language or only a few words. And it just took the stress off traveling alone, and yet I still had a good time. And
Sally, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate that. I do that as well. When I travel alone, I make lunch a thing. Do you have anything that you do specifically, Amelia, when you're traveling alone?
I love that. I interviewed so many solo travelers for my Life Kit episode, and nobody had that main meal midday tip. What I just do is defer to just casual eating spots. I don't mind walking home at night, but what I really get uncomfortable is with the fancy dining. And I'm a foodie. Like I love to go try a new fancy restaurant, but if I'm by myself, it just means the servers are paying more attention to me and checking in, and it just like makes me feel uncomfortable. So I would much rather do the hot dog stand or whatever it is, and save the fine dining for when I am with friends or family.
You say in your piece to land on a destination that makes sense for you. What factors should you consider when choosing a destination when you're going to be alone?
Everyone's safety and comfort levels are so different. I'm a white, feminine presenting woman, so I have a lot of privilege, and then I don't have a lot of privilege. So you have to take into account your own safety is paramount. And maybe if you're worried about it and you're starting new solo traveling, maybe you do take a group trip that is like solo travelers group. There are a lot of really great organizations, women hosting women worldwide, Black travelers. There are group trips that you can go that are sort of like, I would call it soft solo, where it's like you're leaving your world behind, you're leaving your family and friends and your job behind, going to a new place, but you do have this kind of baseline group of other solo travelers, which can be really great. And then also just take into account what you're good at and what you're comfortable with. Like for me, like I said, I'm a city kid. I can handle maps. I'm really good with languages. I can learn them quickly. Pop me in a foreign city and I'm great. I'll figure it out. I would not do a solo camping trip. I don't know how to open things with tools. Like that is not what But maybe that's what you would do. Like maybe you're great at that and that's your first solo trip.
Let's take another call. This is Andrea calling from Manhattan. Thanks for making the time to call all of it, Andrea. You're on the air.
Hi, Allison. As everyone else says, thanks for taking my call. I am a veteran, a solo traveler. I love it. I do admit I'm an introvert, so there's probably a part of it that's why it appeals to me. So I've done 6 solo trips, and I'm calling specifically to mention the program workaway.org. It's where you go and there are people who all over the world who have little projects that they need people to do, and then you go and you stay with them. They're responsible for room and board, and then you work for them. So what I've done,
Wow.
I'm 63. I've done these trips. I did these trips in my 50s. I went to Morocco and I helped a small family-run hotel build their website. I went to Jordan and I helped a small family-run desert safari place also build their website. I'm not a tech guru at all. This was very, very elementary. And I also went to Jordan and I stayed at a place near oh my God, it's escaping me. The major tourist
Petra.
Petra. Oh my God, yeah. Oh my goodness, that's a little Alzheimer's disease there. Anyway, Petra. I helped them. I ended up. This was not that much fun. I kind of ended up working sort of as a hotel maid, helping some clean the room. That wasn't so much fun, but it was right near Petra. I got to stay free. It was great. Anyway, I absolutely recommend this program. It's amazing. And I said you don't have to be a young person to do it. You just have to have a sense of adventure. And all over the world, there are people who are willing to host you.
Thank you so much for calling in. Christopher is calling from Brooklyn. Hey, Christopher, thanks for taking the time to call all of it. You're on the air.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, sir.
Thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you. You're on the air.
Yeah, sure. It was 1990, and I was age 25, and I gave my notice at an ad agency in Manhattan after 3 years of working there, and booked a one-way flight to Buenos Aires, Argentina, and spent 14 months traveling solo around the world, the Southern Hemisphere, so South America, Africa, Southeast Asia, India, Nepal, the subcontinent, and Southeast Asia. My final 2 countries being Australia and New Zealand. I hit 36 countries in 14 months.
Wow.
No cell phone, no credit card, no debit card, an SLR camera, and I would mail the Kodak tubes of film home to my family who would develop them and get to follow my journey through the photographs in my journal, which I would mail home. But one backpack, and it's a wonderful, wonderful experience and very safe and very enjoyable.
Thank you so much for sharing your travel with us. My guest is Amelia Edelman. We're talking about traveling solo. We'd like to hear from you. Are you planning to travel solo? What are you excited about doing it? Why did you take the leap? Why did you book it? 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. Maybe you're a practice solo traveler and have some wisdom that you'd like to share. We want to hear it as well. 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. Amelia, another piece of advice you offered is to be prepared to pivot, because sometimes things just don't happen the way you wanted them to happen. What do you mean by being prepared to pivot, and how can you prepare for the unexpected if possible?
Yeah, I just think solo travel is not the time to really grin and bear it. It's like there's nobody you have to be supporting except yourself. So whereas it's very different from when if I'm traveling with my kids, maybe I would put up with a whole day of stuff I didn't want to do just because it made them happy. But you don't have to do that. So if you've signed up for a tour or you're at a restaurant or something, you don't love it, you can go, you can say politely as possible, it turns out this is not for me. And you can go find something else to do with your day. And then I think also just having a backup plan is really important. If you, if you've booked a hotel, maybe you've also looked at some other hotels in the area in case it's like, oh, you've got someone was smoking in your room, and you get there and it was a bit of a catfishing on the hotel website scenario. You want to be like, oh, I can think of another place that I looked at that I liked. And also just travel delays. Your flight might get canceled, your train might get delayed. What are you going to do? How are you going to spend that time? I've had some of the best experiences out of canceled flights, honestly. I hate to say it because I'm like, don't cancel more of my flights, universe. But I've gotten stuck for a whole day in Amsterdam and was just like, wow, now I'm in Amsterdam. Like, that's kind of cool. And just kind of keeping that mindset about like, you can't trust that everything is going to go as you planned. And it's not ruined if it doesn't.
We're going to talk more about traveling solo after a quick break. This is all of it. You're listening to All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. My guest is Amelia Edelman. She's a travel journalist who wrote about traveling solo. We'd like to get you in on the conversation. Are you planning a solo trip? What are you excited about? What are you concerned about? Our number is 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. Maybe you're a practice solo traveler and you have some wisdom you'd like to share, or you're about to embark on your first adventure all by yourself and you have a question for how to prepare. You can call or text us now at 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. And remember, no calling if you're driving. Please be safe. Just enjoy the conversation. You can call us another time. Let's talk about loneliness. It seems kind of inevitable that you might feel alone or feel lonely during your trip. And one of your guests called it traveler's melancholy. What's the best way to push through the loneliness?
Yeah, traveler's melancholy is real, and it's not even something that you need to necessarily avoid. I think it can be really helpful to expect it, like you're going to have better days or better times of day, or maybe you find yourself like looking at a sunset and really missing your partner or your kids, or just wishing that you were doing something together. And what I really like to do is like lean into, like, for one thing, acknowledge that the discomfort and the loneliness is okay. It's normal. It doesn't mean your trip is ruined. And lean into things that you like to do yourself. Like, are there things that you don't get a chance to do, whether that's going on big hikes because you're always like hauling children or something, or maybe there is a cooking class that you want to take. What can you plan that is really serving your own interests, and inevitably, like I mentioned about how I made all these accidental friends, you're going to meet other people and then you're going to be like, oh, I have these new cooking class friends. Mm-hmm. And then also just like in the small moments, it's okay to smile at someone. And loneliness can even be, if you're an introvert like me, you don't have to be like, hey, what you doing? And strike up a conversation. One of the therapists that I interviewed for the piece recommended just like seeing if you can pet a friendly dog on the street, like asking, with permission, or just like waving at a baby in a coffee shop and seeing if they giggle back. Just these tiny actions that can make you feel connected with the world around you.
This text says, my favorite saying about solo travel, you're only alone as long as you want to be. Yep. Let's talk to Kevin, who's calling in from Manhattan. Hey, Kevin, thanks for calling. All of it, you're on the air.
Hi, Allison. I have traveled solo a number of times. And one thing I was just going to suggest for people is to build in either some structure or a planned activity so that you're not just roaming around sightseeing every single day on your own and wearing yourself down. Your guest just mentioned a cooking class. That's an excellent idea. I also think I did that in Paris. In Venice, I took, a little beginning Italian class for a couple of hours a day, just not because I cared, but it was structure and there were other people. From London, another great trip idea is to take just a day trip, an organized day trip with other people. It gets you out of a city if you don't want to be driving in a foreign country, and just go to the Cotswolds with 6 other people. You can talk to them or not, but it gives you structure. That's all.
I think Kevin's got the right idea. I went to Alaska by myself for 2 weeks, and I went hiking with a college hiking group. And it was really, because I wanted to go hiking, but I didn't want to go up into up into the mountains by myself, but I could sign up for this college group, and it worked out well. We just talked that day, and we didn't talk, and we had a good trip.
That's so fun.
Let's talk to Vivian in Sunnyside. Hi, Vivian, you're on the air.
Hi. I have a question. I travel quite a bit on my own. No issues being alone or making friends when I want to. My biggest issue is finding accommodations which are affordable for a single traveler. And I'm past the age where I want to stay in a hostel.
Understood. That was a big issue in your Life Kit episode.
Yeah, I mean, accommodations are my favorite thing to talk about because there's so many cool options that people don't necessarily know about. I love the one that our earlier caller recommended about doing that sort of work exchange, and they set you up. But I really love using home exchange. It's like the movie The Holiday, but it's real life. And they've kind of upgraded it over the years where you can exchange on a point system. So maybe a lot of times we'll rent out our house, not even rent, because it's no money changes hands. You pay a membership for home exchange for the year. It's around $200 for the year. And then you can do as many exchanges as you want. And it's like you meet someone on the side and you're like, I like your house. Do you like my house? You can do it an immediate swap like in The Holiday, but you can also, if we're at my, in-laws for Christmas or something, someone can stay at our house. And then every time someone stays, you accrue points that you can use in your vacations, basically. So I've stayed in all kinds of different accommodations for quote unquote free. I don't want to say free because it's a $200 a year membership or $220 or something, but it's absolutely worth it. And you can do unlimited exchanges. Another great one is trusted house sitters, where you can sign up similar membership, a little cheaper for the membership. And then you can stay in people's houses and watch their pets or plants. One time I stayed in a beautiful Berkeley house with a view of the Golden Gate Bridge with my entire family for almost 2 weeks. And we just watched this orange cat, and it was delightful.
Let's talk to Stuart, who's calling from the East Village. Hey, Stuart, you're on the air.
Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Glad to talk to you.
Yeah.
I would advocate as a solo traveler to try out the Camino Santiago, which is a pilgrimage from southern France to western Spain. It started as originally a religious pilgrimage, and now I think it's still a kind of spiritual thing for a lot of people. It's different for whoever wants to do it. You walk from destination to destination, and you can carry a backpack, or you can send your backpack on. You can stay in albergues, which are like these huge bunk bed facilities, or you can get yourself a private room. Your activity every day is just to walk to the next town, grab yourself a meal, get in bed, and wake up and do the same the next day.
Thank you so much for calling. Let's talk to Dara from Morristown, New Jersey. Hey, Dara, thanks for calling. All of it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I like to say this is my favorite topic. Solo trip is like, I'm all crazy about it. It's just, my first solo trip was when it was my 40th birthday gift. And what I like about it, it gives me fluidity. Like, I don't need a structured plan. I don't like it, actually. It's not about needing it, but I don't like it. So if I'm traveling with family, it needs a structure, where we are going, where we are eating, what time we are eating. But being on a solo trip is free of all. You just be on your own, feel the city, and that's it. That's what I like about solo trip.
Thanks so much for calling. Amelia, I want to talk about safety, feeling safe in a certain place. It might be different for people of color, for queer people. How do you weigh those considerations when staying open to the places that you can go and experience, but that you need to make sure it's going to be okay for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big question, and nobody can really answer what jives with your own comfort levels best, but you. But I will say that I interviewed one Black solo traveler for my Life Kit episode, and she had traveled around the world for an entire year, solo, had stayed in so many different countries. And she said straight up the place she felt the most uncomfortable and the most racism was the United States. So there's that. I mean, I think a lot of people, it's the unknown is always nerve wracking. And you're like, oh, what is this other country or this other place going to be? But chances are anything that you're facing over there, you're facing over here, kind of like baseline prejudices and all of that. So be prepared to deal with it, or maybe even be relieved that you're like, oh, this is actually much more comfortable for me. And again, if you are nervous, Black Travelers is a great organization. There are a lot of there are queer travel organizations. You can always do that sort of group trip, especially for your first time, to be like, okay, I'm going to be with people, but I'm going to be over there. And I think that the camping example that I use is know deeply to yourself, what you are comfortable with,
Yeah.
and don't put yourself in a strange situation that is strange to you solo for the first time. When I take my first adventure backpacking trip or whatever, because I've never done anything like that, I will bring people. But if I'm comfortable navigating cities, I'm comfortable navigating cities. And that it's just really up to your personal preference and just planning ahead for it, not just showing up unprepared and then being like, oh, I didn't expect this.
Jessica has a question which you might be able to answer. Jessica, thanks for calling All of It. You're on the air.
Thank you so much for taking my call. Yeah, so I'm doing my first alone trip, actually leaving Thursday. I have a 6-year-old. I'm a single mother. I'm leaving her with my parents, but is there any tips or tricks to making the days not feel so long for her, and how to attend to your children when you're not actually there?
This is so great, and I'm so proud of you for taking this trip. Good job. I was a single mother for a long time, and I left on some other work trips, really. And it was so hard to leave my son. So I know how you feel. What I did one time was ask neighbors or friends or whoever you said that they're staying with your parents. You can kind of pre-package little notes or little treats or gifts
I did.
to be released during the time that you're away. And mine, I had gone to Belize, and I made all of mine Belize themed. And I gave him a little what was it, a toucan stuffy, and then there was just picture postcards. I'm not saying spend a ton of money, but small gestures so that your kids can be kind of counting down the days and being connected to you, oh, you're having this experience, and I can't wait for mom to come back and hear all those stories.
As our last question, what's your favorite part about going solo, traveling solo? The point when you're like, I did the right thing.
Oh my gosh, just doing whatever we want. I think I honestly, I didn't interview a lot of men for my episode, but I think especially for women and especially for parents or caregivers or teachers or anyone who is in a very a role of a lot of caregiving or service, being able to have that autonomy and that control over every minute of your day is really just life-changing. And you can come back from it with a really renewed sense of self and an idea of how can I bring this home? And I learned so much about myself over there when I had all this freedom that I do actually like this, or I don't like that. And you can even find ways to incorporate it into your day-to-day once you come home. And that's priceless.
My guest has been Amelia Edelman. She's a travel journalist. She wrote about traveling solo. Thank you for sharing your reporting with us.
Thanks so much for having me, Allison. It's been great.